Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Schmattz Outdoors. We're out here. I am going to do a video on how to flesh and put a muskrat on a stretcher. This is part 2 of this little muskrat series, on my put up of a muskrat. I'll show you kind of what I got for equipment here, and then we'll get into the actual fleshing of it. So here I got a muskrat, nice big muskrat. He's nice and dry. What I got here is a fleshing beam. So this fleshing beam is about 4 inches wide right here, and then I just have it tapering down. I use this for all my muskrats. I know some guys use like a muskrat board or even get them on a stretcher. I like this. It works good, especially if you have a lot of them to do. I use this for the bigger mink, and I use it for fox because my fox won't fit on my wider board. So this is about 4 inches wide, and then tapers down. It's about 1.5 inches or so at the top. And then I kind of tapered the bottom of it because it's this thick. And then I kind of tapered it down at the top so it pulls on there nice. Like I said, we'll get set up here and I'll show you what I'm using. Oh, and then over here, so I use a pelt scraper, a weeby pelt scraper to scrape it. Again, I use the sharp side. You can kind of see the taper on there. I use the sharp side to scrape. Doesn't take a lot of pressure. I always have a rag, and then I use wire stretchers for all mine. I like the kind of wire stretchers that have the 3 hooks on there. The 3 hooks make it a little easier to hook the pelt, and I'll show you when I get that far. Otherwise, we'll get set up here a little bit, and we'll get into fleshing this guy. Alright guys, so I'm set up here ready to go. So I got my muskrat here. I got my pelt scraper. Just set this down. So we'll just turn this guy back so he's skin side out. So I basically just roll him until the head pops out, grab the nose. I like to do my muskrats in a certain order here. So I like to put them on the side here, and then I just open the belly up, slide them over. I like to do, which would be the muskrat's right side first, then the belly, then the left side, and then I'll scrape the back a little if I need to. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm taking the sharp side of my knife here, and we're going to start right up here. I don't get too carried away. You basically just got to scrape the fat off. You can see like he's got, I don't know if you can see it, but he's got a lot of fat down the side. Usually right under the arm, they got big chunks, and then down around the skirt, they got quite a bit here. All right, so we're going to start. I like to just get a little of that meat off, the little thicker meat, just so it dries a little nicer. So I'm up at like maybe a 30-degree angle there, and I'm not like forcing it down. I'm basically just putting it on and pulling, dragging down at me. I'm not using a lot of force at all. I just kind of scrape over the top of that leg, and then sometimes I'll actually just grab the leg, pull it forward so I can get that armpit area a little better. The bigger they are, the more like stringy it is like that. And then basically I'm pulling down. So this was up here. It started off like that. I basically pull down. You can kind of see how there's no more fat under that saddle. And then once I get that far, then I just kind of skip over it. So you want to leave the saddle on there. Okay, and then I'm getting down to the skirt here. And then as I get to the skirt, so I basically am rolling it all off as one big chunk. And then I just kind of pull it off here. Okay, and I just throw that. What I do is I just have a short 5-gallon pail with a grocery bag in there that I throw all my scrapings in. And then down here on the bottom, I'll just slide it up a little bit so I can hold it. So I'm basically just pinching down with my hand. So I try to get part way around the back, like the tail is right here. And then basically I'm just scraping that edge off. And the way these pelt scrapers, if you get gummed up like that, they won't scrape anymore. So you got to continually be kind of picking it off. And then I'll go over it one last time. And then I'm working from here that way around this. You can see there's a little bit of fat right here, so we're going to just scrape that off. And like I said, I'm just working my way around. Okay, and basically all I'm doing now is I'm just spinning it. So right here is the belly, this is the tail. I start on that side and I just kind of pull it off. And what I'm doing, I'm gonna work this tail part. There's the vent and then like the hole there. You gotta kind of work a little bit to get that off, but I don't want to tear this off. You want to make sure you leave this part on there. So I just try to get as much fat as I can around like that vent and stuff scraped off. Okay. And now I'm working like the edge of the skirt there. You can kind of see how I got basically there's no fat left on that whole area there. And now I'll just spin them on my thing again. And then you can kind of see up here how the nose, the way this is designed or shaped, the nose hooks really nice. Like you can pull pretty taut on that and it won't come off of there. Again, I'm going to start right up here, scrape a little bit of this kind of flesh off, scraping right over the top of that leg there. And then I don't know if I showed this that great on the other side, so I'll try and go a little slower. So basically this fat right here is the fat that's underneath the armpit under that saddle. So I kind of start where there's no fat on the saddle, and then as you can see, it kind of tears that, but you can see the fat kind of peels open here. And then I do it on the belly side too, kind of going this way and then this way until I get the saddle kind of opened up. And see, like there, now it looks like it's just skin underneath that saddle. There's no more. So then I'll kind of, instead of keep scraping on this edge, you'll keep tearing that saddle off, and you actually want to leave it on there. So I'll start just below that and then kind of pull. You can kind of see how I kind of left the ridge of that saddle there. And then, like I said, I'll just clean my knife. And then I kind of like to pull it up so I'm not leaned over, bent over so far, especially on a bigger rat like this. And I know I'm already done this way, so I don't have to go that way. Okay. And now I'm slowly spinning the muskrat. Here, there's a big gob kind of in the middle of the back, so we'll scrape that off. And again, I'm constantly just cleaning the fat off because it kind of plugs it up and then it don't scrape, so. He doesn't have a whole lot on his back. So then, like I said, I'm almost, when I'm doing the skirt, I don't like pulling this way. Usually it only will clean a little bit, but if I pull kind of across the edge of the skirt, and it's important to have a nice clean cut there. If you have like a jagged cut, sometimes it'll catch that jag and it'll rip a chunk. But if you make one nice clean cut, you kind of can scrape sideways on that skirt. And then, and actually clean off a little bit more each pass. Okay. And I already started like here going that way when I did the first side. All right. So again, the meat and everything's fine. So I just basically make sure there's no fat around the edge there. And this side looks like just a little there. And I'm just cleaning my knife. And that muskrat is fleshed. That's all there is to it. I mean, it looks a little jagged, but that's just like the saddle membrane there stuck on there on both sides. All right, and now the easiest part of the whole works is putting it on a stretcher. So I just make sure my hooks are slid down. I like to hold them by the nose and then just hold them by the nose, and the butt kind of opens up. I just kind of wiggle this thing in there until I get it started. And you can see that it's going over both sides. And I just pull them on there, and then what I do is I get on the belly side here, and I'm just kind of rolling the nose over on that guy just to make sure that it stays hooked on there. And I kind of pull down on the lower jaw. You don't want to pull too hard, but like I said, if you end up cutting this lip open, it won't stay on there. And then I'll put a clothespin like right here and right here just to hold the nose. Then I'm making sure my legs are centered. I don't want it like way like that, where one's here and that one's on the edge. So I just try to make sure it's centered on there. I'm gonna just lay him on here. Okay, so now I open up the tail here. I actually like the 3 hooks one because what I do is I hook the middle hook right in the vent. Right here's the vent. I hook the middle hook right in there, and you can see that hook and this hook aren't really doing nothing. And then I just pull that guy down a little, flip him over, and then on this side I'm gonna hook basically right in the middle of the tail, usually like a half, maybe 3/4 at the most up, probably closer to a 1/2 inch. I'm going to pull up with this so it kind of folds it over that hook, and that helps the hook like actually bite in. So I'm going to push down with the hook, up with the tail, and then I'm pulling at me here, pulling this down at me. So up with the tail, down with the hook, and then it'll kind of catch. Okay, you can see how that pulled nice and tight. Then what I actually do is I actually take this and I kind of pull down, because you get paid by the length. You can see how uneven that is. So basically what I'll do is I'll just grab and pull that down and then just keep sliding my, see, and this rat's so big that it's almost the full length. Oh, see, and then that happens too. I gotta loosen him up a little. That let him slide down a little farther than he should have. Okay. And then like I said, I basically I'll put this part of it right up against my belly, and then I just kind of pull at me a little, move my hook down, do the same thing on this side. And then that muskrat is completely done. It'll take him about 2 days to dry, basically once like the lips parts, because that's the thickest part of it. And what I do is I have nails in my basement. I just hang it by a nail in my basement, just like that. I'll hang him straight up and down, just like that, and let him dry. Again, that's probably, he's a 2XL muskrat if he ain't bigger than that. Looks like a real nice muskrat. No holes, no bite marks, anything like that in there. So that should be, you know, probably about as good a muskrat as you're gonna get. All right, guys, so I'm back here again. I showed you putting that muskrat. I actually showed you putting him up on the wire stretcher, but I just couldn't pull him tight on that stretcher just because there's such a big muskrat on that narrow stretcher, on that stretcher. So what I ended up doing is I had made a few solid board for some of these big ones. So what I did is I got him pulled on there. On this board, I'll show you when I take him off, I actually have all the size marks on there. He measured to the edge like here and here. He measures about 17¼ inches. So what I did is I put one pin just to hold my belly board in there, because I pull on the bottom side of it and have, so this pin goes through the belly board into the actual stretcher, and it just keeps my belly board from sliding out. So that just keeps tension on this end. And then I just pinned the tail on each side here, and I just put one pin in the middle and the bottom on this side. So in the middle on each side of my belly board on the tail there, one on each side just to hold the edges, one in the middle in the back, and one up here. So what I'm gonna do, I don't know how well you guys can see that, but like right here it's kind of greasy. There's some kind of a sheen there. Otherwise you don't look too bad. But we're just gonna take a blue shop rag and I just kind of wipe them down a little bit. I found that if I don't wipe them down, if you get a lot of them kind of packed in a bag or whatever, I've actually had a mold in between the, and I kind of think it's from that grease, because since I've been wiping them off, I never had any trouble with that. Okay. The one pin just fell out right here, and then all I'm gonna do is just take a pliers and I just pinch onto that guy, pull it out, pull that guy out, flip them over. We got one in the front up here, one, oh, must have lost another one off of the tail. Okay, and then for the belly board, I usually just kind of tap it down a little, and then you can just grab it and pull it out. Okay, So now I'm ready to slide them off. So what I do is I just kind of try to crinkle them and move them around just a little on the board. Then they usually will slide right off. So I just got my finger, I just put my finger kind of in between the edge of the nose there and the board to kind of pinch it, and then he just slides right off. So right here I didn't mark what the links were, but I don't really care what they are necessarily. I just want to know where they're at. So you can see, hopefully, right here you could see where I had him pinned. You know, so he was past the line on both sides, so he was pinned right here. So this is a 3XL, 2XL, blah, 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 all the way to the end. So I have them marked just so if I put him on there, I know exactly, you know, if he's like, you know, right there, I'm going to probably try and stretch him to make sure that he's beyond the line, just so if he dries up a little, he still makes that size. All right, so now I'm just about done. So about the only thing I do with my muskrats now is you can kind of see how it looks like it kind of mats the fur down. I take and I actually just open them up like that, and I will take an air hose and a spray nozzle on an air hose and basically just fluff that up. I'm not going to do that right now. I'll just blow on it and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so you can see I just blew on it. You can see how it kind of just stands all that fur up. So I'll take an air hose and I'll actually stick it way up in here and just kind of blow, and it will fluff all that fur right back up again. And they'll actually feel nice and thick and heavy. You know, the fur will all puff up super nice. And then when I'm done with that, I'll just throw them in a fur bag and, you know, wait till I'm ready to go to the fur buyer with all my fur and sell them to them just like that. So that is a 3XL muskrat ready to go, ready to sell. All right, that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. If you guys got any questions, be sure to leave them down in the comment section below. I'll try to answer your questions the best I can. There might be other guys more knowledgeable than me, but this is how I put my muskrats up, and it works for me. All right, again, thanks for watching Schmattz Outdoors. Hit the thumbs up on this video if you got any tips out of this video or anything, if there was interesting video for you guys. Leave a comment below if you got questions, and again, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you on the next one.